Hey folks, how you doing? Dave McRae here. Welcome to Saturday Movie Night. The date today is Saturday, April the 6th, 2019, just after 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time. For those of you that are tuning in after the live feed and are wondering why the hell this is not live for you, this is a Patreon exclusive only. You can see right there below. It says live exclusive for level number 2 and 3 only, and then it is open to everybody else after the broadcast. So, so tonight I am watching Child's Play from 1988. Now, if you want to follow along, I am going to tell you when to hit play, whether you're watching it on VHS, whether you're watching it on DVD, whether you're watching it on Blu-ray, whatever the hell you're watching it on, I have no idea. But I will tell you when to hit play, and yeah, there we go. Just want to make sure that we were on there. We are on. Okay, good. And then you can follow along, and we'll see how it goes. So this is going to be good. I'm really looking forward to this one because Child's Play, the very first one, is one of my favorites of all time. And so I'm really looking forward to actually watching this episode. Or sorry, watching this movie, I should say. Because for me, Chucky is one of those characters that... I watched this movie just a couple of days ago in preparation for doing some commentary on it tonight. And I gotta say that for me, it was one of those movies where Chucky, you know, despite the fact that he got a little crazy in the later sequels, he's pretty consistent in this movie. He's not crazy. He's not going off the walls. He's not Freddy Krueger from Freddy's Dead. He's not the Chucky from fucking Cult of Chucky or Bride of Chucky, whatever one. They were just crazy. He's not. He's quite creepy in this movie, and that's why the original Child's Play is my favorite. So I'm going to press play here and give you some commentary on Child's Play, 1988. So I am hitting play, and coming up on the screen right now is United Artists Presents. And it says, a David Kirshner production, a Tom Holland film. That is what is up now. That's just faded out. And now we are moving in, and we see Charles Lee Ray running down the street from the cop. Yes. Brad Dourif himself not only played the Strangler here, but of course also obviously provided the voice for Chucky. But, you know, it's interesting because they didn't necessarily need to keep the actor who they hired here at the beginning as the voice of Chucky. They could have hired anybody, really. Could have done a really good job for this first installment. But the fact that they actually chose Brad not only to play the physical human role, which he's only in the first, 5-10 minutes of the movie, but they chose him as well to do the voice, which was smart because obviously you hear him here in the beginning, and then, of course, you hear his voice throughout the film as Chucky. But they could have hired somebody else because you could have been able to justify why he might sound a bit different because it's his soul that's, you know, gone into him, and or his spirit, or whatever the case is, whatever. I always like the look of the opening to this movie. It's supposed to take place in Chicago, right? And it really does feel cold. Like it feels cold. It's got, it feels like, especially that opening shot, you know, with Charles Lee Ray running down the street towards the camera, it really feels cold. Really feels like October, November in Chicago. So we're in the toy store now, and we're getting our first look at the original Child's Play dolls, the good guy doll, and Catherine Hicks. Yeah, I forgot that Catherine Hicks was in this. Ooh. Fascinating. He takes a shot right, like point blank range, right to the chest. He didn't even try to get out of it. And this is interesting because, as we know, the remake to Child's Play is going to the kid in that movie obviously is probably about double the age, right? Andy's supposed to be 6. Well, the kid in the new movie is probably like 12 or 13. So that's an interesting take. Very different. Yeah. I love that. I love the way he says that. You're gonna pay for this, you son of a bitch! Like, you can tell he's pissed. You know he's dying. He's shot. He's there in the corner, and he's like, "You're far!" He's pissed. No matter what! Like, the way he says that, right? Like, he's fucking livid. He's pissed. He knows it. No matter what, I'm coming for you. You know? No matter what. It doesn't fucking matter. It's some intense shit. He knows that he's dying. He's not on the upper hand here. I mean, he's been shot point blank range in the chest. You know, it's fucking insane. Frank Riker says, rumor was John Lithgow was going to voice Chucky. Oh, I never heard that. Tabitha Short. Hey, Tabitha. Good of you. Is that right? Nice of you. I'll say nice of you. Nice of you to join us. It's nice to see you. Haven't seen you in a little bit. Hopefully everything's going okay with the big news that you announced a few weeks back. So I'm just at the point here where they are in the that Charles Lee Ray is now taking the doll out of the good guy doll box and is about to perform some pretty seance-y, juicy shit to get his soul into the doll to survive. When I was watching this the other day, because I haven't watched this movie in a long time, so like I said at the top of the stream, I wanted to brush up on it. So when I was watching this and all this thunder and lightning that's happening and the cop is just pointing his gun, like, you think he eventually looks up, like right here, he looks up and he sees all this awesome 80s special effects. But you think he would have been like, what the fuck is going, like, this is not normal lightning storm. Like, this is serious, like, epic apocalyptic sort of shit that's going on. You know, you think he would have been like, what the fuck? And he finally is at the end, but right up until that moment, he just seemed unfazed by it. Anyways, massive explosion. He gets tossed out into the street, and he's remarkably looks amazing. He's just amazing. I don't know how the hell he kept himself so he looks amazing for literally being tossed out in a massive explosion, and the G-forces from that were probably huge. I don't know, but he seems okay. Frank Riker says a lot of parents protested this movie. Also, sales of Teddy Ruxpin went down too. You know, it's funny. When this movie came out, I was 9, but I do remember reading that. I do remember hearing about that. Tabitha Short says, I had to purchase this film because I didn't own it, and it isn't on any other media sources, but I only spent $5. Oh, well, that's good. At least you only spent $5. Yeah. Love that shot of the doll and the flames flickering on the doll's face. And then, of course, we crossfade and dissolve into Happy Birthday for Andy because he's turning 6. Brian K. Hey, Brian, how are you? Nice to see you. Nice of you to join us. We are watching Child's Play here on this Saturday movie night. Hopefully some more people will join us throughout the hour because you guys are awesome. I really like the fact that they show the good guy doll, as like a cartoon. And then they show Andy in good guy doll PJs, right? Or not PJs. I guess, is it supposed to be pajamas maybe? Yeah, I guess it is. I guess they're in, yeah, okay. And then they show him pouring good guy doll cereal. I love that because right away with three things, the pajamas, the quick snippet of the cartoon, and the good guy doll cereal tells us, the audience, oh, this is a big deal. Like, this is a big deal for kids. This is like that Tickle Me Elmo shit from 15 years ago. This is like He-Man Masters of the Universe. You know, like, this is a big deal. Kids his age and a little bit older and a little bit younger are into this shit. They got cereal, they got cartoons, they got fucking pajamas. It's like the fucking Elf. Like Elf, like they had the thing and the fucking cartoon and the pajamas and the bed. There's probably bed sheets. And then you have this. This is fucking frightening. This actual, whoever is in this live. When I was watching this the other day, I was like, that is frightening. But I love it because very quickly we are given the impression that, yes, this is a big deal. The good guy doll is you get a sense. And later on in the movie, when you see Andy going into the school, although he plays a little hooky afterwards, when he goes into the school, you see other kids going in as well with their doll. So really nice job on really sort of, and very simple, just really easy shit to give us the illusion. Here we go again, back to the television, that this is a big deal at that time. Frank Riker says, I remember He-Man bed sheets. Yeah, I had some. I had, of course, Castle Grayskull, Snake Mountain, Masters of the Universe, all that kind of juicy shit. So it was a lot of fun. This is so gross. What a fucking disgusting breakfast this is. Cute, of course, because he's 6 and he's trying to make his mom breakfast in bed, and his mom's a good sport. It's like, oh, this is great. I'll just eat it a bit later. I'm at the point now, of course, where Andy is trying to wake up his mother in bed. And she's getting up and she doesn't want to have any part of this. So. I love it, though. I love it. I remember watching this as a young boy. Not his age. I was a bit older. But, and really liking this movie. I liked the whole premise of it. I thought it was really cool. And I actually didn't mind the sequel. But when I watched the third one, which is the one where Andy goes to the military, I lost me. Chucky, I just didn't like what was going on, So, Frank Riker, any father whereabouts mentioned ever? That's a good question. I'm not sure. That's a very good question. After this is posted up online for everybody, and everybody gets a chance to watch the feed, maybe somebody who's more in tune with the Child's Play universe as a whole will be able to say what happened to him. Maybe it's mentioned in this movie. I don't recall. Or maybe it's mentioned in part 2 or something, or maybe even 3. I don't know. It's so funny, though. I don't think Alex Vincent, the guy who plays Andy here, the boy, who's now a man, I don't think Alex Vincent went on to really do much in terms of an acting career. But it's so and neither did the kid that played Danny in The Shining. But it's so funny. You do one thing, even at that age, that is huge and enters the pop culture consciousness. You can go to conventions for the rest of your life and sign autographs and make good coin. It's amazing. I mean, what is the guy who played Danny in The Shining done? Nothing. Literally nothing. It's just he's the Shining boy. Granted, it's an iconic film, but that's my point, right? You do one thing when you're like 9 and away you go. You go off and you just, oh, okay, I'll do this kind of shit. It's so funny how that works. So funny, because years ago that wouldn't have been a thing. So I'm at the scene now where Andy's mom is at the cosmetic counter, or the jewelry counter, I should say, talking to her friend. Tabitha Short says, I don't remember his father being mentioned. If so, maybe part 3. Yeah, I think you might be right. I don't remember a father being mentioned. I guess it was just sort of maybe assumed or implied that this was just a single mom. I never got the sense that his father died, but maybe just a divorce, or something like that. Tabitha follows up with, there's a lot of child star actors from the 80s and 90s where they only did a couple of films. No, it's true. But if the movie that you were in or the TV show that you were in really enters that pop culture consciousness as iconic in the world of fandom and geek culture and horror, whatever the case is, sci-fi, horror, they're very niche-y, right? Shit, like I looked up the kid that played Danny Torrance, and he hasn't done anything. And not that kids, you have to. I mean, he did a couple things, and then he chose a different life. You know what I mean? It's just a lot of kids don't necessarily go off to become adult actors. But it's just funny because I saw him at a couple of cons, and there he is, signing stuff and long lines, and it's just it's so funny. He doesn't look anything like he did when he was, 8. So it's just funny. Frank Riker says, Kurt Russell seems to be the only actor who broke the child actor curse. Yes, that's true. We forget that Kurt Russell was a child actor. Leonardo DiCaprio, though, too. You have to remember that he came from, he was a child actor as well. He appeared on Growing Pains, What's Eating Gilbert Grape, Basketball Diaries, and then, of course, he really broke the mold. And I really believe that had River Phoenix not died, and essentially overdosed on drugs, I think he would have. I think he would have been like a DiCaprio today, because his brother Joaquin Phoenix is brilliant, So it's kind of a shitty thing. So I'm at the part here where the mom just picked up the good guy doll from the bum on the street, is now taking it home to Aunt. He's such a cute little kid, man. Was such a cute boy. And did really good. Really good. Like, some of the acting, I will say, when I was watching this the other night, some of the acting from the kid's a little wooden, but you can tell he's not an actor. Like, he got this role that was just great. You know what I mean? But he did a good job. Hi, I'm Chucky. That's where I'm at right now. And you can tell the way that Alex Vincent's Andy, goes like this. And he was probably prompted quite a bit in this movie. I just don't get a sense that this is coming from memory. Some of it might be, but just the execution of some of the lines, there may have been a lot of prompting for him. And what I mean by that is that the director would say, okay, Andy, put your hand up to your mouth and give me a giggle or something. And he'll go, like, it just seems kind of like there might have been some of that, which makes sense. I mean, the kid's only like 5 or 6, right? So, but there are some 5 or 6 year olds, like a Dakota Fanning back in the day, who probably fucking memorized the shit out of her lines, But he does a good job, because there's definitely, you get a real sense, like with the Dakota Fanning, who was brilliant, who never made the transition, really, which is sad because she was brilliant. You really get a sense that this is a child. You really get the sense that he's a little boy. And there's no adult in him screaming to come out in the future. You know what I mean? Like, you really get the innocence here, which could have been a reason why he was cast. It was brilliant. Tabitha Short, I know this isn't about Chucky, but you reminded me that James Jude Courtney will be in, is it Novi, Michigan at the end of this month for Motor City Nightmares. Just FYI. Hey, yeah, cool. So anybody watching this after the live feed, if you're in Michigan, close to Novi, am I saying that right? At the end of this month, Motor City Nightmares, James Jude Courtney, Halloween fans. Thank you, Tabitha. Can always count on Tabitha to give us the news coming from Michigan, folks. You rock. So the babysitter. So Andy's being babysat now. And this is probably one of my favorite scenes in the entire movie. This entire movie feels small. It feels compact. It feels scary. And when I was watching this movie the other night, like I said at the beginning of the broadcast, in preparation for this commentary, if I know a movie really well, I won't have to watch it before I watch it with you guys, but I hadn't seen it in a long time, so I wanted to watch it first, right? So the one thing that struck me, and probably one of the reasons why I love this first installment, is because you don't see Chucky for a large portion of this movie. I mean, Chucky doing his thing, right? You see him run behind, is it Maggie? I think it's Maggie. You see him run behind her, right? You see his hand, pick up a hammer. You see a hand around a door. But it isn't until like halfway through the movie, dare I say it, halfway through, I think, when the mother drops the batteries out of the box, right? and she's like, I'm gonna throw you in the fire, and then he's like, you're not gonna do that, bitch. That's when we actually see the Chucky that we know. And that's like, that has to be, this is an 87-minute movie. It's got to be at least 35, 40 minutes into the movie, at least. So that slow burn, that tension, that build, that dangling of the carrot, and just really putting the audience in the same position as, well, it's interesting. We know something's going on, so we're not really in the position as the mother, and we're not really in the position of Andy, because Andy's already seen Chucky. Yeah, it's interesting, but I love that slow burn. Because even now, like, what are we here? We're like, what, 15 minutes in, maybe 20 minutes? Are we? Yeah, something like that. 15 minutes in, still nothing. No, nothing. Just the innocence. It's that build, that slow sort of, we're working towards that moment. Oh, you'll have to excuse me. The fire smoke detector's going off, but that's not me. That would be probably from upstairs. So I apologize for that. This is live. It will turn off eventually once... there we go. There we go. Those things happen, folks, when you're live. Yeah, so just I love this slow zoom after Andy kisses him goodnight, and just zooming up on that doll, because it's like, that shot, that slow zoom is telling the audience, is Andy telling the truth? Let's have a closer look. It's us. We are now going, and it's just so creepy, because it's such an innocent looking doll. There's nothing creepy about the doll in and of itself, right? There's nothing creepy about the doll in and of itself. It's just, but it's what is going on behind the doll. What Andy is saying could be going on that makes us look at the doll very differently, right? Look at the doll very like, oh, this is like, so it's that extraordinary. Don't worry. That's what happens sometimes when you cook in here. It's that ordinary situation in an extraordinary sort of circumstance. The extraordinary situation in an ordinary circumstance. It's very annoying. Don't worry. I love that shot with the doll going past Maggie. I love it. Now, that is our first look at something. Whoa, that's creepy. But it's so quick. It's so quick. It's like, that could have been Andy. It's so fast that it could have been Andy going by, but of course we know it's Chucky, right? But I love that. I love how creepy it is, because we haven't seen anything up to this point. Up to this point, we've seen nothing. It's just been what Andy has been saying. So Andy is telling us stories that are now going into our head. So now the psychological game is beginning, right? And we're sitting there, and everybody who would be watching this in the movie theater up to this point is all in the same position. We're all going to our own dark place of what is going on with this doll, of what it means. So when Andy describes something, right, or what, Chucky has said, or all that, I might go to a different place than you, but we're all going to our own version of what we would interpret Andy as saying and talking about, right? So I love that. I love that, because they're not showing us too much, So right now we're in this position, and right now we're, dare I say, we're Maggie. I think it's Maggie, right? Hopefully I have that right. That's what's happening here. So it's really cool. Like, it's really cool. It really feels like and there's certain musical cues in this movie too that feel almost Elm Street-like. I don't know if anybody has caught that, but it feels sort of Elm Street-like. Tab of the Short says, I actually thought the smoke alarm was in the movie. I bet you there's going to be a lot of people that watch this stream afterwards that think the same thing. 100%. No smelling of smoke yet. That's a good sign. Love this. Love the suspense here. I love the suspense and the building that's happening here. Good camera movements. And we haven't seen this, like, it's a doll, right? So the psychological game that is being played here with the camera movements, the pacing, how close we are up to her, right? We could be showing a long shot of her entering the kitchen, but we don't. We keep the camera right here because it's helping with that claustrophobic sort of feel. Do you know what I mean? That we're right there. I love how fast she picks up that phone. Ah! Yes! It's like, holy shit. It's great. Frank Riker says Chucky running was Alec's sister for the scene. Was it really? I didn't know that. Thank you, Frank Riker, knowing a little more about Child's Play than I do. It's always great to have people who can add that perspective. Very cool. I didn't know that. That's awesome. That's awesome. But see, it's that kind of shit that I love. I'm surprised that they didn't just get Andy to do it. Maybe because they felt that it might have looked a little too much like Andy, and they wanted a different sort of a younger female body to add a bit of weirdness to it. You know, because it's kind of like, oh, it looks, not that, I don't mean female bodies are weird. I just mean you expect a male, you know what I mean? And when you have a female that's running, it might look a bit different. So it goes against what you would expect psychologically. So it appears awkward, if you know what I'm saying. Yeah, and like, again, like, how far are we into the movie here? How far are we into the movie? What? 25 minutes in? We've seen nothing of the Chucky we've come to know, right? I can't stress how awesome that is enough. It's just fantastic. It's just fantastic. Love that. Moving the plant away. Not there. And then this, now shit gets real with the hammer to the eye. I always think that must have been, that must have been some serious force. Because she was what? Like at least 10 feet away from the window. But I love this death. It's one of my favorite death scenes in all of horror. Honestly. It's just awesome. Like right through the window. I love the architecture of the building. I love the apartment. I love the fact that this woman lives in an apartment like that. Not Maggie, but Andy's mom and Andy. I love all that shit. And it just was, but she was probably 10 feet from the window, and the hammer hits her, and she's like, ah! Like she took quite a few steps to hit the window. So that's always been kind of like, I thought maybe she should have been a little closer to the window. So as soon as it came on her, she just went, oh, and just went through the glass rather than a couple of steps. That's a bit nitpicking though. I mean, this is 80s, right? You know? But yeah. Tabitha says, the disc that I bought today to watch this was actually a collector's edition with extra special features on it. I'm going to check them out after the movie tonight. Cool. That's awesome. I have Child's Play on DVD. I don't have it on Blu-ray. I think it's on Blu-ray though, right? I don't, yeah, so I have it on DVD, and I bought it on DVD like 15 years ago. Like it's an old DVD. So not too many special features on it. I think just a theatrical trailer and maybe production stills or something like that. But it's cool. And I love this angle as well, that Andy is still in the pajamas, right? Because he's so obsessed with good guy dolls and Chucky and that he's just, I don't think I've seen him in anything else. Like he's just in this. Up to this point, I don't think we've seen him in anything else. He's so, I don't think anyway. Maybe we have. Anyways, but he's back into these PJs because he loves them. And of course, I love how it casts doubt on the police officer's mind because of the same pattern on the bottom of the shoes in terms of walking through the flower. So that's always awesome. I have Child's Play 3 on VHS. That was recorded on TV. Oh, very cool. Very cool. And Child's Play 2, but got rid of it a while ago. Oh, that's awesome. I wish I had these movies on VHS. That would be cool to have these movies on VHS. That would be cool. Especially this one. I'm a big fan of this first movie. I think it's just a really cool, it almost feels like I've come to realize, whether it's Halloween, whether it's Child's Play, whether it's The Fog from 1980, I find, because these were low budget horror movies, I find that they almost are like, because their stories are almost like extended, like 85, 90-minute Twilight Zone episodes. I don't know if anybody who's watching this after the feed is done or in the chat feels that way. But I've always kind of found that. I've always found that it kind of feels like that. Like a doll comes alive, this kid gets... Like, you could totally take the premise of Child's Play and dwindle it down to a tight 22, 25-minute episode of, like, a weird, creepy thing. You could do that. You would have to compartmentalize a lot of shit, and it might end with the woman going through the glass or something. But you could totally do it. And same with Halloween. Like, it just kind of lends itself to that. You know what I mean? And the fog, too. It feels like just extended episodes. Really cool stuff. I'm noticing that more and more when I go back and revisit these old classics. You think the detective would have been a little more concerned for Andy's welfare in terms of, yeah, I guess he's just a smug detective, whatever. One thing I will say is that, I guess she's having a moment there. That's good. That's good that she had a moment to herself when she put her hand up to her chin. Because, I mean, her best friend just literally died. And she doesn't appear to be... Now, she's got a 6-year-old child that the cops have sort of inconspicuously alluded to the fact that they think it might have been the result because of him. So there's probably a lot of adrenaline going, and she's got a lot of things. I just think we don't ever really see her grieve or take a moment, but she did there. She did kind of go, fuck, like, what the fuck, right? Imagine coming home to something like this. Like, holy fuck. You can see the flower on the bottom of Chucky's sneakers. Yes, you can. Yeah, so you're at that part as well. Awesome. Yeah, I'm at the point now where the detective is just leaning down and says, your doll? And Andy's going back to his room now because the mother just said, go back to your room. But yeah, that's a great... And now, folks, again, what are we into this movie now? What, 30 minutes? I don't have a timer here because I'm watching on my computer on a different program, but anybody who's watching this on DVD or Blu-ray, let me know what your timer says. How far are we into it? We're what, like 30 minutes in? 35 minutes or something like that? I'm going to keep saying this until we see Chucky, because having revisited this movie for the first time in a long time, like I said a couple of days ago, it really stood out to me. Oh my God, no wonder I probably really liked this as a kid. The suspense and build to the big reveal is epic. Like, it's just like the suspense of seeing this doll come to life and what this doll's going to look like. It is just so eerie and creepy. Like, they could have shown Chucky's face when Chucky put the hammer to Maggie's face, right? She could have turned around, and you could make an argument that there could have been a creative decision made to show him go, hey, bitch, and and you see his face and everything. You could have done that. They didn't. The first kill, arguably the best kill in the movie, is just a little hand on a toy hammer to the face. That's awesome shit. It's just awesome. I love it. And so everything up to this point is just this doll that's like this. And it's like, what the fuck? How can this doll be? You know what I mean? Like, right now, we're getting this nice arcing shot, panning around, which is the POV of the mother, and she comes to the doll, and we see the doll, and the doll's like this. And it's like, what the hell? Like, we haven't... sorry, I just love it. I love it. Frank Riker says, dolls are creepy. Even Quentin Jaws said so. Yeah, that's right. That's right. Here's to swimming with bow-legged women. It's my straight vodka. No, it's just water. That'd be funny. At the beginning of the stream, I'm just swinging back straight vodka. By the end of the stream, so I hope you guys enjoyed the stream. I love you guys. You guys are amazing. Cheers. So Andy is sitting on his bed with his mother, and the mother's kind of like, no, Andy, stop. Like, we can be cute, essentially, but this is a doll. Like, stop talking as if he's real. And it's so, what I love about this too is the way, even the way that Maggie, I should have mentioned this earlier, the way Maggie takes the doll so violently, not violently, but so abruptly, right? Because we know there's something evil about the doll, and the way he's handled by Maggie and by the mother. Look, I don't have a doll here, but say this here is the doll, right? She's like, look, Andy, there's nothing. You see, he's nothing. And we as the audience are like, don't do that. What are you doing? And the doll's just going, and it's like, but we know what the doll's capable of, right? So when you see Maggie pick up the doll off the couch and just holding it by one arm, essentially tossing it into the corner, we're all like, what are you doing? Because we know what it's capable of. So it's just, I love that direction in terms of the adults are just kind of taking it, and tossing it around. And we feel like at any moment, Chucky's going to go, and like snap out of it. You know what I mean? I love that. And there he is again, just lying there in the bed. And I think we're going to get another shot, if I'm not mistaken here. We're going to get another shot of the, like, look at that beautiful light. A key light off to the left over here. Beautiful. I love that. Just that light. Oh, and the way he turns his head. And then he closes his eyes. The close-up of the eyes being closed. Like, it's just so great. Because up to this moment, there is nothing evil or ominous or scary about the doll. Think about that. What are we, 40 minutes in now? There's nothing evil. Take out what we saw him do with the little hand on the thing. We know that's him. But in terms of visually looking at him, there's nothing evil or ominous about the doll at all. Nothing. There isn't. Yet. And we don't get that same thing with the later sequels. And obviously, no, because you have to open it all up. And that's one of the advantages of this first installment is you can really delay that gratification, and it's just so much fun. The suspense is great. I believe this was actually shot in Chicago, if I'm not mistaken. Love the fact that that they shot this in the wintertime. As a Canadian or anybody who's from the northern states or the Northeast, you definitely know that is actually real snow. That's not fake snow shooting in California. So that's, this was funny because this kid is young. Now listen, it's 1988. He was supposed to be 6 here. In 88, I was 9. So I was 3 years older than him. But, even in the 80s, a 6-year-old kid to be on a subway by himself with this doll. I'm surprised that they didn't show more people just kind of looking at him. Maybe they shot that, but I would have had just maybe a few adults. Maybe they're there with their newspaper, and they just kind of go like this. And because it's strange. It's strange to see a kid that young with his doll. And right now you see everybody on the subway and they don't even seem fazed by him. Like he's literally 30. And here's this kid. I mean, look at him. He looks so out of place, which is the whole point. That's the whole point. We want him to seem out of place, like he's in an environment that is very unsafe. So now not only is the doll an unsafe thing to have in his possession, the environment for which he's in is very unsafe. But nobody bats an eye at him. And I always thought, not necessarily here when he's walking past the bums warming their hands by the fire, but on the subway, I always thought maybe there should have been at least one person that just kind of went like this with their, newspaper, kind of like, that's kind of odd kid, maybe they shot it and didn't use it. I don't know. But everybody just seems so blind to the fact that there's such a young boy there. Let's see here. Tab of the Short says, yeah, another kid had the Chucky doll. Yes, there were actually a couple. There was that one kid that you saw who walked in, and then as the mother was walking down the sidewalk, if you look in the distance, there's a kid coming towards her who has a doll as well, but it's sort of out of frame, or it's blocked by the mother's body, but you do see it briefly. Frank Riker says, think about it, parents. If your child is learning new vocabulary and a doll is only around, then yeah, Chucky's the ultimate nanny cam. Yeah, that's true. That's true. That's very true. I love this. Chucky's little fingers that come around the corner. So what are we now? We're into what? Well, what are we, like 30? I'm looking at my live stream. We've been streaming live now for 41 minutes and 25 seconds. Okay, so we're probably 37 minutes in then, maybe 38 minutes in, and we still have not seen Chucky. You know, I love but slowly but surely we're seeing more things, right? Now we see his hand around the door. We see his hand on the oven, right? He's gone to that fucking guy's house to kill him, to get revenge on him. Because that's the guy that took off in the getaway car, right? If I'm not mistaken. I think that's him. I love this. I love just seeing the doll's hand. It's so eerie. Because again, if you're watching this movie for the first time, your only thought of Chucky right now is this. You know, like a really nice, sweet looking doll. So, and we're seeing, these little hands turn knobs and open doors, and it's like, but he seems so sweet. And the cartoon was so sweet. And the pajamas and the cereal. What the fuck is going on? You know what I'm saying? I love it. I love it. This is absolutely how I would have delayed gratification. Eddie Caputo. That's right. I love that name. Eddie Caputo. Hey folks, how you doing? Eddie Caputo here. That's how I should open all my videos from now on. Brian K says, just love 80s horror movies. Yeah, well, a lot of them are garbage. But this one was quite good. It was neat. It was different. We hadn't seen too much of this before. I mean, sure, there was the clown in the original Poltergeist from 82 that sort of came alive, but the narrative didn't surround him. We really hadn't seen too much of this kind of story, in terms of a doll coming to life. It wasn't sort of, we hadn't been desensitized to it yet. It was still very creepy. And although the doll in and of itself is not particularly creepy, you add a creepy element to the movie and suddenly he actually does become kind of creepy. You know what I mean? Yeah, I love that. Who would open the door and just shoot? Wouldn't you wait? Well, Eddie Caputo does. Thank God, and didn't go into that house. Boom. Yes, that's right. The kid, Andy just walked away. Now, we can assume here, of course, that Andy was taken in by the police because he was there when the police arrived because of the explosion and blah, 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 blah. But I do find it funny that... Oh, no. Okay. No. I corrected myself. Frank Riker says Chucky's outfit was actually taken from Tom's own kid's dresser. Oh, interesting. Frank Riker, folks. Child's Play expert. I did not know that. Yeah, Child's Play is one of those movies I absolutely love, and I know a lot about the first movie in terms of being able to kind of what I like about it. But it's definitely a series that I'm not as familiar deep into hardcore like a lot of people are. So that's cool. I didn't know that. And why not? Why not? Right? You don't have to worry about copyright then if you don't show any labels. And he obviously was looking for something and like, great, that'll work. You know, obviously you would have had to have made a couple more or bought a couple more. But I think that's awesome. So yeah, we're at least 40 minutes into the movie now and nothing. This is great. Everybody watching this after the live feed are probably thinking, Dave, are you going to keep saying that? Yes, I am, because it's an important part of why this movie worked. It's a very important part to why this movie worked. And now we see Andy grabbing the doll and, and again, just a cute little red-headed doll with freckles. It makes the moment when he does turn that much more satisfying. Does it not? I mean, this delay of gratification, this slow burn, when it's done right, and you don't get too many of them in slasher movies. This is great. You see, I've often said this. The best slasher, because this is the category this movie would fall into, even though there's not too much slashing going on in this movie. But by default, this is the category for which it would fall into. In my opinion, the best of those series are usually the first ones, obviously, for obvious reasons, and they usually have a psychological component to them. Friday the 13th, the first one had a psychological component. Halloween certainly has a psychological component. Child's Play, the first one, has a psychological component. And I love this. She gets angry and kid just is like, "Hi, I'm Chucky," or whatever he says. Frank Riker says, "Isn't that the doctor from the Hulk TV series?" You might be right. You might be right. Oh, you mean not the guy that played the Hulk, right? Bruce Banner? Is that you talking about? That's not the same guy. If that's who you're talking about. I thought you meant a doctor in the Hulk TV series. Do you mean the lead detective? Oh, the news reporter. Oh, I didn't. I'd have to go back and see it. I'm not sure. Maybe. I love this. This is the oh shit moment. There are the batteries. I remember as a kid and as a teenager, I would always get goosebumps when I would watch this part. And the other night, when I watched this movie, I got goosebumps because it's that, oh shit. Like now we're desensitized to these kinds of things. But 31 years ago, like this kind of stuff was still like, oh shit. It's like that moment in Black Christmas or when A Stranger Calls, when it's like that moment where it's like, get out, the calls are coming from within the house. It's like, oh shit, you know what I mean? It's that kind of thing. Those things don't work anymore because everybody's so fucking desensitized to shit now, but I love that. She's like, oh my god, the batteries. It's like, oh fuck, there's no batteries. That was brilliant because nobody would have thought that. Oh, there's no batteries. Like that's such a easy, simplistic reveal. It's so smart. But still, up to this point, now that's creepy. Whoa, what the fuck? But no evil Chucky yet, right? 48 minutes live stream. We have to be about 45 minutes into the movie and still no Chucky that we know, right? But that's the foreshadowing right there. That something bad is really about to happen. Brian K says, my parents have one of the original good guy dolls still. Very cool. Yeah, I would love to get one. I'd love to have one. I'd love to have I'd put a fucking Chucky doll back there. I'd put a Chucky doll back there. A good guy doll? Yeah. Of course, I don't know if my girlfriend would like that very much. I think my cat is trying to come in. Come on in, Veda! My cat's coming in. Yeah, come on in. You hear me talking? You want to come up? Come on up. Let's watch Child's Play. We're live. This is what happens when we're live, Veda. Yeah, we're live. If we weren't live, I probably would have edited you out. Edited you out. I love that. The way she's shaking him. And the doll is just like, and it's like, fuck, man, the suspense and the tension, because you know something bad's about to happen. 50-minute live stream, no doubt we're 45 minutes into the movie, and this is when it finally happens. There it is. Finally. So yeah, that's got to be about 45 minutes into the movie. Beautiful. Now this is what we've been waiting for. This is the payoff. And this is so satisfying because of the pacing of the movie. And it's a tight movie too. It's only about 87 minutes long. It's like 3 or 4 minutes shorter than Halloween. So it's very tight, compact, and it was really, the pacing was really good. This feels so satisfying because we didn't see him really up until this moment. And we haven't heard Brad Dourif's Chucky voice up until that moment either, right? And something I notice in this movie too, Chucky in the later sequels becomes quite comical, okay? And he starts saying one-liners, being very sarcastic, and that's one thing that I didn't like about where they took the character. And because I hadn't seen this movie in a long time, when I would talk about it on videos or on live streams, I would often say that because from my recollection, there were some moments in even the original where he was kind of funny, but it wasn't to the point of where it was in the late. Having watched the movie the other day, no. I mean, there's a fuck you to the old lady who gets off the elevator, and there's a few sort of sarcastic remarks that he says. But there is nothing funny about what Chucky said, about what Chucky says in this movie at all, outside of the fuck you or whatever. But that is nothing compared to where they took that character. Because in the later films, depending on the film you're watching, there's a lot of the fuck you, there's a lot of dumb shit that's being said. So although, like, you really get a sense that Charles Lee Ray's personality and character comes out in this movie. So he's not like a comedian. He's just, he'll quip, maybe once here or there, say, fuck you, because that's what he would have said, right? So, yeah, it's almost, not quite, but almost the equivalent of Freddy from the first movie, and then where they took Freddy by, like, part 4 and 5 and 6, so. Tabitha Short says, I have a Michael Myers doll, but I could never own a Chucky doll. Too creepy. Yeah, I was thinking about that. Maybe a little Chucky. Maybe a big good guy doll, because I really don't have the room for it, to be honest with you. So maybe a little Chucky, like a smaller version I can put back there. I think that'll be okay. I think my girlfriend would not mind that. But the big Chucky doll. Yeah, I don't know about that. Frank Riker says the detective is Chris Sarandon. Sarandon? Am I saying? I can't. Hang on. Why can't I see that? Yeah, Chris Sarandon from Fright Night. Yes, he is. Yep. Love how she goes to the... You're not supposed to... I love how she gets in the car and she drives off, right? In the cab or whatever she was in. And the detective is still, you're not supposed to go to that part of town. Like she can still hear him. You're not supposed to go to that part. She's gone, buddy. She's gone. Fuck. All right, I'll have to save her life then. No, nobody's seen Chucky. I love when she says, I gotta go find Chucky. That was a bit earlier. I'm further along now. I'm now where she meets the bum that she bought the doll from. But I love a few minutes earlier when she's like, he says something like, where are you going? To find Chucky. I've always loved that. To find Chucky. I love when she says that. It's so funny to me. I don't remember you, bitch. Excuse me. Too many defined Chuckies in water. Hiccups. Oh, yeah, I remember you. Come here, baby. What a sleazeball. So, yeah, I'm at the point now where the bum is just, he doesn't want her money and throws her on the hood of the car, and the detective will show up in a minute. Frank Riker says, when they yell Chucky, it's like yelling for a red-headed stepchild. Oh, I know. Ah, he's a cop! He's a cop! Was that guy's pants down? I don't think it was. I thought his pants were down when he was running away. I don't know, man. I don't know. It's busy, man. Busy. I don't know. It's like pulling a Stallone or something. The scene, too, when the detective is in the car and driving away, and Chucky attacks him. It's a great scene. But in reality, if a doll or anybody attacks you in that manner, you wouldn't keep driving. You would not keep driving. It's a great scene. I love it. It's fun, especially when the butcher knife or the knife, or I don't know if it's a butcher knife, but the knife comes through the seat of the car. It's really cool, and it's really awesome. But I gotta say, I'm not. It just was funny because I'm like, he's driving and he's like, oh, fuck, oh, holy shit, fuck, and I'm like, dude, stop the fucking car. Stop the car and like barrel roll to the passenger seat and get the hell out of the car. What is he going? It's like, it's like maybe they should have made it so the car had, or did the car? Okay, maybe I'm being the car. There was no point where it was alluded to the fact the car had no brakes, right? I don't think so. Maybe it did. Maybe I didn't watch closely. If it did, then I stand to be corrected. But I don't think it did. I think he just wasn't stopping the car. He just loved the ride. It's a gritty movie. It's a dark film, and I like it. Do you know how much more respect a lot of these movies would have if there were never sequels? Do you know what I mean? I know it's always fun to revisit the characters, and there's probably a lot of people watching right now that are very happy and very glad that there were 5 or 6 films. And I understand that. I do. But watching this movie, it's a good movie. It's not a great movie or anything. I mean, it's not like but it's good. I mean, it's different for its time. It was a doll, because you had Jason and Freddy and Michael and the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and this was a doll, and it was it was almost a psychological horror. The very first film, much like yeah, and there's not a lot of blood. I mean, there's blood obviously when he kills the guy there that I forget his name now. The black gentleman that he goes and sees that he ends up killing. There's a bit of blood there, but it's not a gross movie. It's not a gory movie at all. And like I said, for the first 45 minutes, it was more a psychological horror than anything else, in my opinion, anyway. Frank Riker says, "You're right, Dave. Neighborhood comes to mind, and I appreciate it." Nightbreed comes to mind, and I appreciate it. Yeah. It's just like, I get why people love it. I do. But think if Halloween never had a sequel. Think about that. Think if this never had a sequel. Think if Elm Street never had a sequel. I love this little doll sitting together. Okay, so here, oh yeah. So as far as we know, the brakes haven't been cut. I don't think so. What's he strangling him with then? Let me know. Maybe the brakes have been cut. Maybe they have been cut. Were the brakes cut? Comment and let me know. Yeah, because why wouldn't you stop the car? At this point, why would you not stop the car? Like, look at him. Look at him. The way he's like, fuck. I love it. It's a great scene. It's fun. No, he just put his foot on the brake there. Yeah. If the brakes are cut, and then and there was a something I missed about Chucky saying, "I cut the brakes, bitch," or whatever, then completely forget what I'm talking about here. But if they haven't been cut, and it was never alluded to them being cut, then I think that's hilarious. He never actually stopped the car. But nonetheless, great scene. Great scene. Fun. A lot of fun. Tab of the Short says, so Dave, you said you're not super rushed to go see Us in theaters. Will you go see the new Chucky coming out soon in theaters? Maybe, yeah. Yeah, I might go see that. Yes. Frank Riker says that was actually a blooper. Chucky originally came with a string. No joke. I love that. The running around the car and stuff. Like, you hear him here. Chucky's being sarcastic. He's taunting the detective, right? Because this is the guy that murdered him, right? That murdered Charles Lee Ray. I love the little hand that... It's so funny. Love that. Just that little look and he comes back. Love that. That was really nice. That was really nice. Yeah, this is fun. Love this look too. The architecture here and everything. It's just great. Yeah, look at the yeah, and then now we start getting into like occult stuff and voodoo and yeah, the symbolism here through the mural on the wall and everything is just great. And this is where you start, you find a little more about what, of course, Charles Lee Ray was really into. He really believed and bought into it. Yeah. Oh, thank you, mighty Dambala, for life after death, I think it said. You see somebody coming up behind her. This is so funny, too. Like, why would he walk up behind her like that? Why would he do that? He would have said her name back there. Hey. No, I'm going to walk up behind her with some nice backlight to cast a silhouette just to fuck with the audience. Nickname was Chucky. Frank Riker, does Chucky have a thorn tattoo? He might. He might. Chucky may very well have a thorn tattoo. Now, I could totally buy that. I could totally buy that Chucky has a thorn tattoo. Yeah, good old Chucky. And this is now, we're what? We're probably, what? We're 64 minutes into the live stream, so we're probably about an hour into the movie now. This is the first time we're seeing Chucky actually... Think about this now. We're about an hour into the movie, and we're now seeing Chucky actually move in an exposition sort of context, which we haven't seen up to this point. We've seen him moving in quick shots, quick cuts, right? Attacking, reacting, the mouth, all that kind of stuff. But we're actually seeing him, there's some exposition here now. And we're an hour into the movie and we're finally seeing him kind of move and talk. This is what you see all the time in the later sequels. But we didn't see it and for over an hour into the movie. And that's really cool. I like that kind of shit. Props to Tom Holland and the producers, for honest to goodness, for really sort of playing that slow burn game, because it worked very well for this movie. Now, there could have been logistical reasons as well. Obviously, it's not easy dealing with an animatronic and a bunch of them, and there were a variety of animatronics that they used to create Chucky. And of course, we all know that the shit that happened with Bruce the Shark and the reason for that. But when it's done well and you know what to do, it can be very effective. And yeah, like we're seeing him talk now and just kind of in a normal situation. I love that. I love that little doll. I love how he breaks his leg and you see his leg snap. Oh, oh, love it. Love that shit. Tab of the Short says it looks like Chucky has highlights. Does it? I'll have to take a quick look. Oh yeah, kind of. Yeah. Oh, I love that. Just that sound. The teacher has the student has surpassed the teacher. That's what this fucking thing's all about here. It's like he's drunk. Yeah, like this movie doesn't have a lot of blood in it. I mean, there's blood there. We see blood. And of course, when Andy's mom and the detective show up at this guy's house, you definitely see a pool of blood on the floor and there's blood. But I mean, like, you know, if you compare this movie to the first Friday the 13th or the first Elm Street, it's got more blood in it than Halloween, but it's certainly, it's not a gory movie. It really relies heavily on the psychological component of the suggestion and the creepiness of this doll and what this doll is capable of. And that, I think that's why I really like it. And then, of course, naturally with doing sequels, you have to open things up and it just ruins the effect of what makes the doll so creepy, in my opinion. I love how right before he dies, he gives the last most important piece of information. Hard. I love that. His heart is almost human. It's the only way through the heart. It's a good thing he didn't die beforehand. I'm telling you, man. I love that shot of seeing Chucky climbing up the stairs as Andy looks out the window. It's creepy. Love it. And at this point, Andy instinctually knows that Chucky's coming for him. He knows. He fucking knows. Love that. Now that's got to be, because it's a far away shot, that's probably, would you say, Frank, that that's probably the sister again? Would you say that shot of the far away looking through, because there'd be no need to use an animatronic for that. You're too far away, you just use a kid. And totally works. He really looks like he's crying. I gotta tell you, that really, does it not look like Andy is really crying? That kid looks like he's really crying. Yes, he is. Tabitha Short says Andy is a good cry. He is. Like, I buy that. The way his face is like this. I totally buy it. He really looks like he's crying. I love it. This little animatronic hand comes up, grabs the keys, takes it. I love it. Love it. And I mean that I'm laughing, obviously, because I'm not laughing because it's silly. It's awesome. It's just so awesome. Look the way he's walking around. It's so great. Look how creepy that is. Oh. it's the doll face. It's so great. So awesome. And I love this innocence too about Andy, because that's what little kids do of that age. they don't possess the cognitive ability to really fight back. I mean, if they see a knife or something, they might pick it up and, whatever the case is. Like what's happening here with the scalpel or whatever. Is it a little knife or whatever? Like they would know, okay, well, this is sharp. That could hurt the doll. I'm going to, hold on to this. But he does what a lot of times kids do. And they just run and hide, and they go into rooms, and they're not really knowing what to do. They're little boys and girls, He just looks... Yeah, that scream was added in afterwards because his mouth didn't really move there. Andy's the best actor in this movie. Yeah, he's up there. He's good. Couple of lines are a bit wooden. Certainly, like I said towards the beginning of the stream, I think he was prompted on a few things, but I totally buy the innocence. He feels like a legit child, not a child actor. And that works really well for this movie. That must have been somebody in an outfit because those legs were too smooth. This is cool. This is one of my favorite death scenes in the movie. My favorite is Maggie going through the fucking thing, but this is just great. Every time we cut back to him, he's just more and more just, it's cool. It's cool. Why do people always feel like they have to die like this? Like, one of the worst is in The Dark Knight Rises, when what's-her-face, I forget her name, when she's in that armored truck or something, and she's like, oh my God, it was bad. It was comically bad. Especially in a movie like that. It's like, what are you doing? God, it took me out of it. The doll! The same one that was in the station house! The doll! It's the doll! The same one that was in the station house! The doll! Where's the doll? I need to know where the doll is. Oh, don't want to spill my new water here. And that's true too. When she says, well, Andy, I've always told him to go home if there's an emergency. Yeah, because kids feel safe at home, right? It's that sense of security. So I believe that. I buy that. Him putting things up against the door. Yeah, okay. Here comes the fuck you. This is probably the funniest thing he said in the whole movie, really. There you go. Fuck you. Mine was a little too expressive. It's more, fuck you. That's funny, right? That's like the funniest thing he said in the whole movie. The first Child's Play is not I like this Chucky much better. If he wants to quip every now and then, sure, he did a whatever when he was with, his buddy there and playing around with the Voodoo doll. But he's a fraction of what he became. And I much prefer this version. It's just awesome. He's such a cute little boy, man. So Andy is hiding out in his closet, a closet that's very similar. It's got closet doors very similar. This is Andy's Laurie Strode moment. This is his Laurie Strode moment here, folks. Yeah, Chucky, I forgot about this. He comes through the chimney. Oh, that was definitely not an animatronic. That was somebody in a suit with a Chucky head on. The movements were far too smooth. And even that is creepy. Like, even that's creepy, too. I love this walk. I like how the camera is just showing the silhouette of the walk, and you just see the back of his feet. But the walk's like It's like this. It's awesome. It's like gonna wreck some shit up. Trick or treat, motherfucker! Love that little POV shot where Chucky there, the little POV shot, chasing Andy around his apartment. I really like that. I would have done more of that, actually. I would have had something where maybe there's a longer sequence where we chase him down the hall, through the living room, into the kitchen, by the front door. Like, really maybe extend that, because it's a really neat perspective, and it's a neat feeling. Oh. Annie just took a bat to the back of the head. Poor kid. I love how these bats just knock these kids unconscious like that. Or people unconscious all the time. Well, I mean, a real bat would. I think that was a toy bat, though, if I'm not mistaken. So that shouldn't have knocked him unconscious. Oh, his eyes are moving. He's still alive. Oh, this is it. Combarondi dar snobrai, for la marroris nagarego. It's my own seance. It's my own seance. If you hear thunder or lightning wherever you are in the world, I apologize. I apologize. I love it. It's totally a matte painting. With obviously with effects, but it's very much like what they did in the original Ghostbusters. Carosno le malakalakacha. Gelekelekimaka is the no. How you guys doing? Are you guys enjoying the movie so far? I love it. Mother saves him. Like, that's frightening. That's frightening. Holy shit. Well, he has a thing for hitting the back of calves. But I guess, you know, when you're that tall, where else are you going to hit, right? You're going to hit the back of somebody's calf. And if you know where to, you can take somebody out. You can take somebody out. Tab of the Short says, enjoying the movie. I like Chucky better than Jason movies. Cool. Some nice lighting here, too. I'm just going to say, nobody thinks to turn on a light. And I believe this was a soundstage, but it looks good. The set design is good. I buy that this is in that apartment. It looks good. Look at that beautiful new TV over to the right there. The detective is in the bedroom, about to look under the couch. Or the couch. The bed. Oh, but here comes Chucky from behind. Ah! Right to the gut. Oh, yeah. Fucking kick that cop's ass. Oh, I love that. I love that. I love when the mom shoots him in the knee and he like, it's almost like he goes back, but then it's like something takes him back even further and he flies into the wall. And now he's pissed. The concept is downright frightening. I mean, put yourself in this position. Any doll. It doesn't have to be a doll that looks like that. Any doll. Cabbage Patch Kid doll in the 80s. Elf. Imagine my elf that I had on my live stream last night. Imagine my elf came alive. And he's like, and it's like, holy shit. And he's like coming up to me with a wrench. And he's like, you know. I love the way Chucky looks there behind the mom as she's leaning against the fireplace trying to keep him in. He's like, like he's frightening. Yeah, I like the way he looks, the way his hair is dancing all around and everything. And there's a light obviously coming from the top of the chimney to really accent that. It's really nice. Oh, this is great. I love this line from Andy. I love it. I love the way he says it, too. I love the emphasis. I like where he emphasizes things. This is the end, friend. I love it. But Andy, we're friends to the end. This is the end, friend. This is Chucky's Freddy Krueger moment here from A Nightmare on Elm Street Part 1. Chucky's on fire. All the major horror characters have been on fire, except for Ghostface. I don't think Ghostface has been on fire, and I don't think Leatherface has. Michael Myers has. Jason has. Freddy has. Chucky has. Chucky and Freddy in their first installments. I love that. And I love the way he comes out of the fireplace and he's on fire. Do you know what I mean? And he's crawling over the couch and everything. It's really good. I like it. Now, you would think, like, when you're watching this, you would think, oh, yeah, like, this is the end. This is it. I mean, he's burned. But he's not. I mean, he's burned, but it's not, he's not done. This is not the end. Frank Riker says Chucky was named after Charles Manson, Lee Harvey Oswald, and James Earl Ray. I heard about that. Yes, or I read about that, I should say. I read about that. Love this. Now he's there. It's just that one googly kind of eye there. He looks now he looks terrifying. Look at the way he's coming up on Andy like that. The way it looks so creepy and eerie. It's so great. Give me the boy! Give me the boy! I want the boy! I want the boy! I just want the boy, bitch. Give me the boy. I just want the boy. Ooh. This reminds me of The Shining. The woman leaning against the door and the knife coming through, and just very Shining-esque to me for some reason. That was somebody in a costume there when Chucky turns away from the door. You can tell because of how fluid the movements are. What's somebody in a costume and what's an animatronic. Give me the boy! Of those 80s gunshot sounds. Only got 6 shots, bitch. Let's do it. Ooh! Fucking decapitated that son of a bitch. The woman's hot. She's on fire. She's taking off limbs. She's taking off heads. She's taking off limbs. Heads. There's only one head. She's taking off a head. She's taking off limbs. Love the way the doll falls like that. That's awesome. And the way he's still trying to crawl. Like he's still going. He's still going. I love the flicker you can see in the background from the fire. Great continuity, because obviously there would still be pockets of fire in the living room. And the fact that we see the flicker on the wall is great. I like those details. Nah, you're out of bullets, man. That's it. He's dead. He's dead. Or is he? Where's the doll? Where the fuck's the doll? Where's the doll? The kid was right. The doll's alive. I love this. The kid was right. The doll's alive. The way he says doll, I love it.
10 minutes. Now tell me what happened. The kid was right. The doll's alive.
The kid was right. The doll's alive. I love it. Love those accents. Don't you fucking touch it, man. Don't fucking touch that doll. And what does he do? He goes fucking touches it. What he should have said was, touch it. I want you to touch that doll. Go and touch it. Just touch it, kiss it, lick it, make a sandwich with it. Whatever you, just touch it. Touch everything. And then he would have walked out there and been like, ooh, I don't want to touch that. He should just told him to touch it. Whenever I watch this movie, and even when I was younger watching this movie, I always think this guy looks like Sonny Bono. A heavier Sonny Bono. Sonny Bono was a lot slimmer and skinnier. But he just kind of has that Sonny Bono face. It's dead. This is like a Friday the 13th moment where it's just dead, and all of a sudden the arm comes through. It's kind of like a combination between the end of Friday the 13th Part 1 and Friday the 13th Part 2, right? Because Part 1, Jason comes out of the, the lake, and then of course at the end of Part 2, he comes through the window, and nice little last, just one, like an exclamation point, right? Because they could have ended it with the mother just kind of, but it's just like that last exclamation point. I like that. And I love the way the movie ends with Andy walking out the door and he's looking back and the door's just about to shut and it freeze frames. Love that too. The way that final shot from the cop goes right through Chucky's heart and you just see the blood splatter behind him on the wall, and the doll in slow motion just hits the wall, and it's great. All burned to a crisp and charred and fucking shit. Love that detail. Wanna play? Love that. And like I said, this final shot of Andy looking back and then we freeze frame, you don't see too much of that but that sort of detail anymore used. That sort of tool to freeze frame on a final moment. You saw it a lot in the 80s. I mean, the end of Planes, Trades, and Automobiles, the end of Uncle Buck, the end of Friday the 13th Part 4, I think, or 5, 4, I think it was. The end of this movie. You see it, you used to see it a lot. But I love it here. I love it here because you can read quite a bit into what this could mean. I always found this funny that the mother just leaves Andy in the room, but she does come back, which is good. Now watch this right here. The way we freeze on Andy's face, what's he thinking? Did it work? I always sort of thought that maybe it did, or maybe something went into Andy. Here it comes. Freeze frame. Beautiful lighting there too as well. Love it. And it's just that. What does that mean? Love the music too at the end here, by the way. Love that. Love that. Love that fucking shit. That childlike innocence, but it's creepy and eerie and love that shit. So yeah, I remember when I was a kid and even a teenager and even now, because I watched it, like I said, a couple of days ago, and I saw that, and it's almost like there's many different interpretations you could have of that. It's just Andy, looking back, or when when Chucky was going through the process of trying to transfer his soul into him, right, into Andy, obviously it didn't work fully because he was still on the doll, right? But did something happen? Was there something? Is Andy feel like what's going? Because it's just the way he looks back. It's almost like that Tommy Jarvis moment with Corey Feldman, right? It's kind of like that. Is there something? Like when he hugs what's her face at the end of Friday the 13th Part 4, and he just kind of hugs and he looks up, and then it just kind of freeze frames. Like, there's something that's weird. That's weird, right? It almost feels like it's that kind of thing with this as well. But you can also interpret it a completely different way. So, but cool. It was really good. Anyways, that's going to do it for me, guys. I really appreciate those of you that did tune in, that were able to tune in. Sometimes, of course, because it's Saturday night, not people can't always tune in, but they'll catch the stream afterwards. But again, it's open for anybody who wants to tune in, whether that's one person, whether that's 20 people, whether it's whoever. So I really appreciate those of you that did tune in. Our next Saturday movie night will probably be in May. And but I will let you guys know, of course, when that is going to be. This was a lot of fun. Child's Play was one that I was hoping I would get a chance to do because it's solid. It's solid. And for those of you that are tuning in after the live stream, thank you for watching. Hopefully you were able to watch along with me. And hopefully I kept it entertaining for you for the 90 minutes at the very least anyway. So yeah, so that's going to do it for me. So have a good night, Tabitha. Good night, Frank. Good night, Brian. Good night to everybody else. And I will talk to you guys soon. In the meantime and in between time, my name's Dave McRae. Cheers.